it again, but we saw Infamous ban Sky in the first game, so it was unlikely that Infamous were going to pick Sky against this Catherine. I'm pretty sure Celsior are happy to let Lyra go through, which is the most likely pick for Infamous, unless they go Batiste, which could be flex. And this is a pick which we've seen a little bit in the challenges. We haven't seen much Fortress at all throughout the Vainglory 8. What do you think, though, Shu? Do you think that'll be a Captain Fortress or Crystal Power?
I guess you can flex it both ways, and both ways have got their pros and cons, because the Wolves do scale with the amount of health you get. If I'm not wrong, you know what? I'm just going to quickly check that and see if it scales with the amount of health.
I don't remember that spark.
Yes, so 20% of Fortress's bonus defensive stats. So there you go. The Wolves will scale with the captain, so it does make your Wolves a little tankier, a little more annoying. But at the end of the day, a Crystal Fortress, and we saw it played by Artisan, and played to a very outstanding, manner, and he could just go in, tank up a lot of damage, and put out a lot of damage himself with that secondary fountain that we saw as well coming out from the side of Artisan. But it's quite a hit and miss for a Fortress pickup, wouldn't you agree? Because at the end of the day, we saw some teams that could put it off, and we saw some other teams that kind of
Yeah, I think the Fortress pick is risky, but Koshka's still available for Infamous. It hasn't been banned. Glaive's all right against Koshka. Celeste can do well, but Koshka can generally dodge your Helios and dodge your Core Collapse. Fortress is fantastic with Koshka. You're just going all in early game. And yeah, why wouldn't Infamous pick it? They won in the last game with Koshka Vox and a captain. This time they're going Koshka Vox and an engager as opposed to a healer. It's not a big difference. You're up against kind of similar heroes. You're up against this Catherine again. But this time, instead of focusing Kestrel first, they've got to focus Celeste first. Celeste will be bursted down so quickly. She'll be able to land a stun against Fortress, but not against Koshka most likely. And so I think Celsior, they just have to block the Umbercano Frenzy, land. They've got a triple stun comp, so they have to land that first stun of whoever, and then get the other two in a row, make sure they time it correctly. And they do have a chance to win this, but I still favour Infamous because they're so comfortable on Vox and Koshka.
Yeah, I mean, the draft coming out from Celsior Esports just looks a little stronger with that triple stun. And we've seen this comp plenty of times now with that triple stun, with that Catherine, Glaive, and that Celeste. And sometimes, a lot of times, in fact, not just sometimes, if you cannot chain those CCs together and you do not have that combo wombo that your comp allows, it can easily be taken advantage of at the end of the day. And we saw the micro skills or the mechanical skills coming out from the side of Infamous, and they could even, I'm sure they'll be able to just block out the important CCs coming out from the game, or rather from the side of Celsior Esports, and they will still be able to dive your Celeste, which would be the main damage dealer at the end of the day, and afterwards just allow that Vox to slowly deal and chip off damage from that Glaive. And then once again, being target focused, the last target will be that of Catherine as well. So as long as Celsior can chain the seasons very well together, then there will be no chance in hell that Infamous can unleash all that damage onto, say, one of either of the carries, and they might win. So, but at the end of the day, it is Infamous going up against Celsior. So, and with the team comp coming up, I personally think that Infamous, if they play it right, if how they played in the previous game, they play it very reserved, and when the opportunity arises, just jump in, do as much as damage as possible, and from those damage you've dealt, get an ace, possibly 1 man down, 2 men down, or even better, the ace, and then push your objectives. And that is what the Infamous has been playing all this while. I'm not surprised if they're going to do it again, once again, because they are just this strong. Anyways, to all the viewers out there, for a chance to win 250 eyes, hashtag win and your team and win in the comments section, and then we will randomly pick out a winner if your team that you're supporting do win. So take for an example, hashtag Infamous win, or hashtag INF win, or hashtag CLSR win for a chance to win 250 eyes in the comment section below.
Yeah, I think it's we've seen the Celeste Glaive comp before, as you did say, but we generally see Glaive in the lane and Celeste in the jungle, just because that's what the meta seems to make necessary. And Spitfire is on Celeste, so yeah, it will be a jungle Celeste unless they decide to switch it around. SNK's picked up a Dragon Blood contract on Fortress. Makes sense because you always want to be aggressive early with Fortress. Similarly with Koshka, and also you want to you're almost guaranteed to proc that Dragon Blood contract when you use your Truth of the Tooth onto an enemy. So that makes sense for SNK, and I'd expect to see Spaghetti be more aggressive this game than when he was against the Samuel, because on a Koshka, against the Celeste, you don't have to worry about her level 2 power spike, because if you dodge the core collapse, it's basically like nothing's changed.
We are going to see Spitfire being placed in lane, and of course Destiny Stars going back into that jungle. But however, we might be seeing an AFK coming out from the side of Celsior Esports with that Catherine, or rather Highest on that Catherine, not being able to buy any items. So we will enter a pause, 2 minutes per team per game, so a total up of 4 minutes every game and every match at least. So, you know, we are seeing, and as you said, we are seeing, you know, the Dragon Blood contract being picked up from the side of SNK. And yet they are not being as aggressive as we would like to see, or rather they are not going in for Destiny Stars. They're just trying to steal the mid-Trian. They couldn't get it. They just backed off. You know, with that Dragon Blood contract, honestly, and especially pairing it up with a Koshka, this has been the legendary pair, the pair of the century, if you like to put it. With that Koshka, with that Fortress, it was a very, or rather, a go-to draft a couple of patches back, or even a few patches back. And even now, it is very strong because, I mean, Fortress is in this very niche area in the meta, but when used right, as we could tell from Artisan use of Fortress, is a very strong hero pickup.
Yeah, Fortress can work extremely well if you're up against someone who needs to scale into the late game, like Spitfire on the Celeste. And so I think it does make sense. And Koshka doesn't want to be too aggressive. Spaghetti is much more of a defensive Koshka. He doesn't like to go 100% in, just straight to the enemy backs and try and steal them away, because he wants to get some items, some levels, and Spaghetti actually is level 1 at the moment, so that's why he's not like invading straight away, because Koshka at level 1 is not really close to the same hero as you are at level 2, because as level 2 as Koshka you can just stick onto a target so much easier. The game will resume, 2 minutes are up, so hopefully Highest can figure out his connection issues, and he has now picked up some items, so that's good. We are going to see a proper 3v3 game. Spaghetti going to get that mid-Trian.
Yep, it is quite good to see. It is very good, in fact, to see Highest joining back into that game. SNK yet again just being in lane. I would like to hope, I actually like to hope to see a little more aggression coming up from the side of Infamous. I mean, they have a very strong early game, and as Fortress tank up and Fortress can just soak up a lot more damage, he will be very strong. So I guess at the end of the day, Infamous has got that early into that mid-late game comp down, on paper at least, but if they do not have the aggression, then it might be difficult for SNK on that Fortress to scale very well, because Catherine, as the game goes on, as she gets her Captain of the Guard stack, she will just be tanking and be able to forefront a lot of damage as well.
Yeah, she will. Catherine really scales much better than Fortress does in the late game. There's a Dragon Blood contract popped by Fortress. Spaghetti trying to go on Destiny Stars, but he's just going to afterburn overball and port home. We've seen that Glaive do that twice now. Just get the minion afterburn away and port home, which is why Glaive is really good against Koshka in the jungle, because you don't have to fight. You can just farm up. So as soon as you're back spawn, Glaive is going to run to them and take them. And if Koshka tries to fight you, you make sure you secure the minion and afterburn over a wall. She can't chase you unless there's vision or there's a captain to throw a flare out. So it's really hard for Koshka to invade against Glaive. But Spaghetti won't be too disappointed in that. We've seen how he can still be an annoyance and a real damage dealer as a Koshka in the later stages of the game.
Yep, definitely. I must agree with you. I must agree with you. One more thing though, Spaghetti, although he does not play the jungle aggression kind of Koshka that we're so used to seeing, but there is one thing for sure, it's that he does go for that lane pressure a lot. And I think that is one thing that Spaghetti kind of excels in, because we used to see Spaghetti on that Celeste, on that Castrol as well. Even on Scarf. So I guess these are heroes that really want to put pressure in lane, and it's a reflection of even when he does go on that Celeste, not Celeste, sorry, on that Koshka at the end of the day. Oh, Spaghetti may be going into the backs for the first time.
He's going for the jungle, and he's going to get one of them. Will he be able to get the second one? Spitfire is rotating down, and Destiny Star's able to pick that up. He's now got an afterburn. Spaghetti trying 1v2. Now 1v3 as Captain's here, and that's not going to be there's going to be no chance of getting able to get away alive. Spitfire with the boots just to make sure, and SNK is going to try and save Koshka, but he was a bit late, and Fox is just going to get a little bit of damage on this turret. Not too much at the moment because he hasn't picked up a full poison shiv, so with no tier 3 items, Fox can't really be the hero to siege turrets. Spaghetti able to get one minion and die. That really wasn't worth it because he gave away first blood. So that's why Spaghetti may not be too aggressive. Great afterburn into the core collapse. That's the combo you need to do for Celsior. And hopefully with Catherine as well, because the triple stun is better than double stun. Spitfire very low. Going to actually fall to Spaghetti, and Spaghetti going to get that Dragon Ball contract popped onto Destiny Stars. He's very low. Going to be able to back off. Spaghetti wants to steal a little bit of jungle, going to pop a couple of scout traps. I doubt Spaghetti will go further than the mid. I am right, he's not going to go for the backs.
I mean, with the Crystal Sentry there, you have to constantly think about that as well. And if you do get spot out, then although Destiny Stars on that glaive is low, he might just come down for your blood together with that of Highest on that Catherine. All in all, I personally think that Infamous is still doing rather well, although the scoreboards do not quite reflect that. But, you know, Infamous, we saw the damage coming up from Spaghetti as well. Spaghetti is going for that Shatter Glass build, I assume, and that way he can scale so much better into the mid-late game. And at the end of the day, he will have more damage output as compared to, say, Destiny Stars with that Tension Bow proc, Glaive, not building into the Sorrow Blade first, which we usually would see as a first item on Glaive. But one thing's for sure, for the side of Celsior, is that they have a very good tank team comp just to protect that Celeste. We do see infusions being popped for Spaghetti, and of course, Yuna over at level 5. They might be looking to siege this tower or take an advantage at least.
Yeah, they definitely want to do a team fight. There's going to be the engagement by Fortress, Dragon Ball contract popped. So core collapse, that's not going to land. The upcat defensive will easily start up Glaives, then he takes a full Solar Storm to the face, but he'll be okay with that. Destiny Stars does not have a block, whereas Spitfire does. What Spaghetti is fantastic at doing is looking at the scoreboard, seeing, right, who's got a block, who hasn't. Okay, I'll stun whoever hasn't got a block. Whoever is the most important target for me that hasn't got a reflex block, I'll stun them. And that will be an easy target for Infamous. They get a kill and a turret from their infusions, which is more than worth it. Glaive has respawned now, and Infamous want to go for a bit more. Fortress is going to be in trouble, but Spaghetti going to dive onto Destiny Stars. He's very low. One more basic from Fox is going to drive the turret and pick it up. SNK will fall to the sentry. That basic attack will follow him and pick up the kill. Captain gets the credit for that one. So Infamous get one kill, so 2 kills. They get the Destiny Stars twice, and they get 1 turret. So good infusions popped for and good objectives taken.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that is definitely worth it for the side of Infamous. They are now sitting at a very comfortable 2,000, or rather very close to 2k gold lead, in their favor at least. And, you know, honestly, SNK, that really is the problem right now for Fortress. Wouldn't you agree? You have the chase potential, you can go in, but you are very fragile in terms of captain. So your team has to play really aggressively, immediately burst someone down if possible. They are going to go in for another team fight right now with all 3 from each team posturing up in lane.
They are. Everyone's in lane. Infusions are still active. Infamous truth by Fortress was stunned out, so not going to be anything more coming from that fight. Infamous want to either get some jungle or the gold mine. It looks like they're going to wait for that vision to run out the Catherine when they walked over the scout trap. Now that has been actually a heavy prism into Aftershock for Spaghetti, so it wasn't a Shatter Glass picked up. Goldmine easily secured by Koshka, and now they want to fight. Spitfire can do a little bit of poke. SNK wants to dive in. Dragon by contract pops. Spaghetti picks up the tree. Yeah, Mechanic Frenzy over the wall was blocked, but now that is Spaghetti on top of Spitfire. Spitfire's easily going to go down. Now they're on to Catherine. Wolves are chasing them down, but Celsior will be able to pick them up. Spaghetti diving, do as much damage as he can. Destiny Stars going to trade back onto Koshka. Good stuff stepping from Spaghetti to get Destiny Stars down to half health. He wants to go in, he's very low. Fountain is not available for Fortress for another half a minute. And so Spaghetti is back. Good afterburn. Spaghetti's staying far too long. Now Spitfire's going to get killed into Uni, and SNK has to back off. Infamous staying a little bit too long. They got the advantage, got the one kill. They should look for the death time, as they may lose the turret because of this.
They might lose the turret indeed. I mean, that's a very good way of coming in, although Destiny Star is really low, but Spitfire just came back, sitting at full health, full energy. They can definitely get this, but nope, they are going to retreat.
They don't want to get the turret. SNK going in to try and stop Spitfire taking it. Spitfire actually went for the farm instead of trying to get damage on the turret, because he knew that Spaghetti and Uni would be back really quickly, so he wouldn't have got the turret down. So just secure the farm, push the wave in, and back off and look for a late game team fight when Spitfire will really outscale Vox and Spaghetti. It is, unfortunately, I would have liked to see Shatterglass first, but Koshka's going for Aftershock Broken Myth. We just tend to see a heavy Prism picked up before Koshka gets that Aftershock, as you said, to try and help Koshka in the mid game phase, where if you just have an Aftershock in defense, you don't do that much, whereas if you have a heavy Prism Aftershock in defense, you do an awful lot more.
Definitely. But, you know, it has been a while since we saw Shatterglass into Broken Myth Koshka. I guess that build for Koshka is still very, very viable. But at the end of the day, they really want the proc. A lot of players just want the proc, want that extra sustain that Aftershock do provide. So I do understand where they are coming from when they come into this build with that heavy Prism, and of course building into Aftershock, then Broken Myth afterwards. It just gives you a little more damage and helps you right through that of the early game, or rather mid game, when you do have that combination of items. Once again, infusions are popped throughout the board of Infamous, and of course Glaive as well. They might be looking for a team fight just to push the advantage even further. This is quite the pattern that we've seen so far. Whenever the side of Infamous do pick up that infusions, always be ready for a team fight.
Yeah, they're definitely disciplined. They will buy infusions together, and then they will fight and get something from it. So that's one of the strengths of Infamous. I'm sure Celsior have looked at the scoreboard, they know they're infused, but Glaive doing great damage onto Uni. He's going to run towards the pistol sentry. Good block on the flash tremor from SNK. Infamous do take the sentry down and force the attack of the pack from Fortress. I guess that's alright for Celsior, but they did lose one of their crystal sentry lives. And now they're going to try and push this wave. They know the attack of the pack isn't available. Vox picked up a breaking point. That's a good damage power spike for him. The Celsior in a good position to push this wave. SNK going to rotate up. And no, they don't want to do it. They just want to back off. They are confident that if it gets to late game, Celeste will be the powerhouse. And so they don't need to fight now. If they can just not lose team fights, then they'll be happy with that.
Well, definitely. I mean, at the end of the day, Infamous, has to jump in, has to go on to that Celeste. But as long as the side of Celsior can just peel away for that Celeste, especially with that Catherine, with that Glaive, you know, it will be difficult for the side of Infamous to just go in, because, I mean, Glaive does a very, very good job peeling anybody away from, you know, one of his carries. We do see Glaive just inching towards that breaking point, possibly.
Yummy Cut the Frenzy did land on the height, was not blocked. Destiny Stars going to fall immediately. So Yummy Cut the Frenzy lands on Glaive, knocks Catherine. And Spitfire taking a lot of damage from this Aftershock proc on Koshka. Infusions were still active for Infamous, so they did get something from them. They got a couple of kills, probably going to try and get this turret. I doubt Highest can stop it. Destiny Stars isn't up yet. There's Celeste is back. She has got the Solar Storm to try and do some damage, but will not clear the wave in time. Infamous get the turret. Now going to back off. I doubt they'll take the gold mine. They're a bit too low to attempt it, and Uni taking some poke from Celeste. She isn't able to secure the minion. Spaghetti hasn't got enough energy for a twirly death. So yeah, Infamous going to back off. They don't want to take the gold mine yet, but they do want to stop turret going down. Again, we're not seeing Celsior trying to go for these objectives. They just want to wait to team fight. Spitfire with 3 damage items, probably going to get some defense before she works towards that 4th, and going to infuse pretty soon. But one thing Celsior don't want to do is waste money on infusions and still lose the team fight. So what they're doing is just giving Celeste items, and I think they are hyper farming Celeste at the moment. She took the jungle as well as her lane. So yeah, they're all about just make the Celeste carry us late game. We'll let their infusions run out, let them waste money on that. We're we're going to wait for it. And there could be a Solar Storm snipe. They have vision. Solar Storm, Celeste, no, doesn't want to risk it. Blast Tremor from highest will not quite steal the gold mine, and that's the merciless retreat, Catherine.
Yep, you say it as though, the side of Celsior is just playing a little too conservatively, although they sometimes, at points in the game, they have got a clear advantage, and yet they refuse to work those advantage. Like those ones where they managed to get a two-man down on the side of Infamous, and yet they did not want to push a turret. They'd just rather go down for that farm. Had all three been lane, the side of Celsior would have definitely gotten that turret as well. So yeah, I must agree with you. The side of Celsior, they are playing a little too conservatively. They are not going all out. They are not capitalizing on every tiny opportunity they are getting, or Infamous is giving to them based on very small mistakes as well. So I guess, that's why Infamous is just making full use of their naivety or their conservativity coming into this game, because it is quite apparent as well that the key target of Spaghetti and SNK really is that Celeste, and really not Deity Stars. Granted, Destiny Stars has got the damage now with that Sorrow Blade, with that Tension Bow, and building towards an Aegis, so building towards that against that Koshka, whereas Spitfire already has got defense against the Koshka. But at the end of the day, really, you just want to lock down that Celeste, because honestly, Celeste is a real main damage dealer, and Glaive is forced to just peel for Celeste if Spaghetti jumps on him. So, that really is just sound mentality going into team fights, and, making Destiny Stars on that Glaive just waste his afterburn because he needed to peel.
There's going to be the attack of the pack from Fortress, fusion pop by Glaive. Celeste doesn't have one, but has some charges, and they want to go for turret. The Great Blast Tremor is going to be blocked, and the Solar Storm from Celeste to make sure Infamous do not get this choke point turret. Destiny Stars is very low. Spitfire is full health, putting out a lot of damage. Candied minions want to go into the turret. Spaghetti is going to fall. The fountain was not enough to save his life. In fact, the fountain used by highest. Fountain was already used by SNK. Now Uni is going to try and run away. Spitfire, I don't think we'll be able to get there. He's going to do what Helio actually is enough. Great poke and great damage from Spitfire, managing to land that Helio on top of Uni. And now, please, Celsior, take yourself a turret. You're 2v1. I know they want to be passive, but the problem is, if they don't take the advantages they've got, then they'll just fall behind. Whereas if they do take the advantages they've got, they might start to snowball a bit quicker than if they just back off and try and take the kills. So they're not going to get the turret. They're just a good defense by Fortress. To be fair, that was a great attack of the pack when only Celeste and Catherine were up, so Celeste, if she'd have focused the turret, would have possibly died to the Wolves. But even so, I think they could do better. I think Celsior are making it so that they have to wait until much later in the game than they need to in order to have the power spike of Celeste's. So now has picked up confusion.
Yeah, but we do see the Infamous, they are just not afraid. They are just going in very aggressively, even for that turret as well. Granted, they sacrificed 2 men for that, but at the end of the day, they did get the turret very low in Destiny Stars. Maybe caught out right now.
Stars maybe in a trouble, but he's going to afterburn over. Be okay. Highest. He's taking a lot of poke. There's going to be Blast Tremor was blocked, but it wasn't easy to be Yummy Captain Frenzy. It's also blocked up, and that's going to be Catherine falling out of position. Couldn't back off to her team. Glaive gets out of position, he's fine, he can after run away. That Sentry defeated and eliminated. Spitfire, good stuff, but it was blocked up. SNK is taking a lot of damage, so is Uni. That is a double, that's a triple kill for Celeste. Spitfire carrying so hard, 7 kills now. I reckon they're going to try and split the aggro, maybe get one turret and then try and get the Kraken. So that was a great fight for Celsior. Great fight for Celsior. Obviously, Infamous managed to get 1 kill onto Catherine, but they didn't do the damage onto Spitfire, which is who they needed to do, who they needed to focus. Spitfire was free to just land those supernovas, land that massive solar storm, and a triple kill.
Yep, triple kill indeed for Spitfire, but Destiny Stars has to watch out as he gets dangerously low tanking that Kraken, but all is well at the end of the day. Now, the side of Infamous, they did some very aggressive, very not well thought of plays, and they had to defend against a Kraken, and on top of that, they have to defend against a Celeste that has very good poking potential. Destiny Stars was their key target for some odd reason, because had they just go on to Spitfire 101, then they might have won a lot of team fights that came through. Wolves were used, and now they are going to suffer the wrath of Celeste.
Yeah. Attack of the Pack was used to try and let Infamous get some damage on this Kraken. I'm pretty sure Celsior will get 2 turrets and be happy. I don't think they'll try and push any further. Infamous will be able to do enough damage to stop them getting any more than that, and Celeste has fantastic turret damage to make sure they will secure these first 2 turrets. Destiny Stars is tanking up the turrets, so Celeste is free to do damage on the enemy heroes. Kraken, yes, so low. We see teams all the time. When there's 2 turrets left, you get a Kraken. So when 1 turret's gone down, you get a Kraken. You just push 2 turrets and then back off. SNK has got the Wolves in 2 seconds, so they could try and fight with that. As a block on the core collapse from Celeste, Spaghetti wants to dive in. Young Frenzy was blocked up, but now that is Spaghetti on top of Celeste. He's going to solo stop, and it will not connect. Neither will the core collapse. SNK doing a lot of damage. That's highest, very low. Crucible is used, and Glave's going to have to run away. Spitfire's doing the 1v3 base. He's going to try it again, but will not be able to get more than a kill onto Fortress. And Destiny Stars did manage to port home. That was a good push from Celsior, but they just don't have to disengage compared to how quickly a Fortress, Koshka and a Vox can just chase you down. And Celeste did try and go in 1v3, but there was no one else to help her out. So she got 1 kill, but couldn't do any more than that.
Yep. I mean, that big miss on Solar Storm did play a part as well. Had Celeste did connect that Solar Storm, then maybe the team fight would take a change for good as well. But this turret will definitely be going down, although Destiny Stars putting out a lot of damage on Spaghetti.
We'll get the kill on Spaghetti. That was great damage, but the turret did fall. Now Uni is going to try and run. Spitfire wants to do it. He's going to boost in water away by Uni. That's the core collapse, not landing. Great sonic zoom by Uni to make sure he runs out of the core collapse from Celeste, and good disengage. Uni is now fully built. Now the shops. So is Spitfire. So this is a really good time for Celeste to fight. She's fully built. She's not going to get any stronger. Obviously, Destiny Stars can still pick up another 2 items, can still get possibly a breaking point or tornado trigger and Tyrant's Monocle or some defense. And one thing I want to point out is look at Spaghetti, Crucible, Fountain, Aegis on the Koshka. Spaghetti has got like more, almost more defense than SNK at this point, because he's got an Aegis, whereas SNK's got a metal jacket. And if Spaghetti gets war treads, then there'll be basically 2 captains just to try and support this Uni. So it looks like they want to fight. There's the attack of the back going to be used, and wait for it. It's going to silence up there, but the great blast over from Catholic gets a triple silence, so that forces Infamous to have to back off. They cannot go in when they're silenced. They haven't got enough. Just base movement speed without the abilities to do so, and you don't want to go in with a Koshka when you're completely silenced. Good run away by Infamous. They don't want to let Celsior have poke and then try and engage. They have to. What Infamous have to do? They have to be the engagers. They have to be the team to dive. And now Celsior are going to take this Kraken. I think it will be contested. It's going to be close to see what's going to happen. Spaghetti is being spotted out by those Helios. Uni's going to war treads in. They want to go for the fight. Spaghetti dives on Spitfire. Great stun. The second one is blocked after and can't be now. That's Celeste doing all the damage on the backline, and they want us to go this Kraken. Celeste gets it with the Solar Storm. Now Fortress diving in onto Spitfire. And Vox is going to go in as well. So much damage on Celeste. She's going to fall, but gets the kill onto Fortress with the Helo after she died. Highest now doing the plays, just walk around the bush. Vox gets a triple kill. What does he do? He can't push the wave. He can't get the win. So he's just going to beat on this Kraken. And I think Vox will maybe stop the Kraken getting 1 turret, or maybe the Kraken should get 1 Bang Crystal turret. That's all you're going to get.
Well, I mean, he's slowly chipping down Helga's health. But at the end of the day, that team fight, it was so messy. Although the side of Infamous, they've got so much tank, in terms of that Koshka, in terms of that Fortress. But at the end of the day, it didn't quite work out for them, this double fountain, because both fountains, yet again, was popped at the same time. Like we saw the similar mistakes coming out from Galaxy as well. But, Helga will not be able to take, will be able to take 1 turret. And Infamous really has to look into the team fights. Like you said, they have to be the initiators. They have to jump on Spitfire because Spitfire just is outputting so much damage. There is really no reason for Infamous to try to take on Destiny's Stars as the initial target lock. And they just have to go on ham and going really, really hard on Celeste because at the end of the day, that is the one that's really carrying the side of Celsior Esports. And with the amount of damage, you know, the side of Infamous has, or the lack of it, but they have got a lot of sustain, they can really just outplay or rather out damage and out sustain that of Glaive. So Glaive isn't really the threat at this point in time. It is just a Spitfire on that Celeste, and so that would be key and priority as target. Because if, like I said earlier on, if you do jump on Celeste, you force Glaive to afterburn in to try to peel for Celeste. Whereas if you do not jump on Celeste and if you jump on Spitfire, all Spitfire has to do, or rather, if you do not jump on Celeste but you jump on Destiny Stars, all that Destiny Stars has to do is just soak up as much damage as he can and then allow Spitfire to just put out the damage in terms of her heliogenesis and of course supernovas as well.
And the CC is there to try and protect Celeste with the double stun, just, excluding her core collapse. So that means Glaive can easily stun Koshka away. There's vision in the party brush. There's Spaghetti diving into the Spitfire. He's taking half health damage already. Spaghetti has been Atlas, but Uni was not. Good block on the afterburn, but there's no block on the blast tremor. Yamaka Frenzy is blocked up by Glaive, and he's going to run back to the base. Destiny Stars is going to fall to Spitfire. Great Solar Storm, almost getting a double kill with that. Koshka on a sliver of health will be able to run. Dodges the first healer, so we'll dodge that Frostband slow. Celsior are not going to be able to chase. There's no boots on Spitfire with those household charges already being used to disengage. This could be a Kraken again for Celsior, their third of the game. If they want to risk it, it's 2 versus 2, but they have the map position. They pushed their full on energy, whereas Spaghetti and SNK had to port home or back off and get some treants before they're ready to fight. For Celsior, they could risk it. I don't think it's that necessary. Celeste is having so much gold. She could sell possibly a clockwork for a Shattered Glass, but it looks like she just wants to keep infusing and attacking the pack to make sure that Spitfire isn't taking the Kraken. It's going to try and go in. Good stun onto SNK. Spaghetti Yamaka Frenzy.
Oh!
He missed the block. Yamaka, that's the side of the blast tremor. A great Solar Storm to do a load of damage. And there's the fountain. First one used by Fortress. Second one is available for Koshka in a second. And it will use Save Our Life. And the War Shreds away. Spitfire's going to dive in under Sentry. He wants to get the kill on Spaghetti. Good dodge on those Helios. Spaghetti is going to survive. Fountains were much more staggered there. Well played by Infamous. But Spitfire missing that block on the Yamaka Frenzy. You've got to be better at timing that.
Definitely, and that might have cost her life or his life if Vox was there. And you know, coming so late into game, honestly, the goal difference and the goal lead that you initially had for the side of Infamous doesn't quite matter anymore. And at the end of the day as well, SNK and his Wolves don't do quite as a lot of damage as you know Fortress's Wolves would do in that of the mid game. And Spitfire now ramping up all of this damage and sitting on 4 damage items, and Destiny Stars in fact don't even have, you know, it's not even completed on build yet. If Destiny Stars opt to go extra defense or just go crystal defense just to tank up against SNK and Spaghetti, then you know the side of Celsior might actually have this game for a turnaround.
They might indeed. I think Celsior just needs to get one good team fight. They need to have one extra hero as compared to Infamous, and then they can take the Kraken or push for the win. There's going to be after, but on to Uni, but Destiny Stars slightly out of position. Great blast tremor stuns up, silences up both members of Infamous, and that's Yamaka Defense easily blocked by Spitfire. Spaghetti doesn't know what to do now, just going to have to back off. And so Celsior is just going to push under the Sentry. I think Fortress just doesn't want to go in. He's used his ult, and now this could be a free Kraken for Celsior. There's one port for Uni, and he's going to stop it. I think that was Kraken being spotted by one of the members of Infamous. Spaghetti's going to walk into the bush, going to dodge the core collapse just barely, and that's going to bounce it, preemptively used by Infamous. But they've got another one, that's okay. SNK taking a lot of damage, Spitfire doing all of the work. That core collapse is going to miss, but there's the Dragon's Breath, so the Solar Storm is going to land. Glaive secures the Kraken for Celsior, which is fantastic for them. Great damage for Spitfire. to pick up the kill on Vox. They've did trade his life for it. SNK will not be able to get away. Double for Celeste. Can she get the triple? Koshka's going to go for the plays. Block on the Mustard's pursuit. Spaghetti's just going to try and dodge around, and they just have to let Kraken take the turrets. I think Highest is going to try and stop it. So will Spitfire. They're just going to try and stop Koshka from porting home. I think she's going to be able to do it, though. There's no way they're going to get up to that top bit in time. The Solar Storm is available. Spitfire, you want to go for it? No, you don't. It's just going to clear the waves to make sure they don't take turrets. And now they are 2v1. I said they need one more hero available than Infamous does. That's what they've got. Spaghetti has absolutely nothing on this Kraken. Has Aftershock, Broken Myth, which, yeah, you see Kraken's just tickling down in health. Spaghetti has to go for the kills. It's going to go in. There's the War Tread. Spitfire wants to go for the turret. Block on the Mercy's pursuit. And the Spitfire going very low. Spaghetti did dodge out. Yeah, his core collapsed. The other Kennemancy obviously Vox. That's Celeste just going for the Vein. She's going to die to Spaghetti. And now all the members of Infamous are back up. Highest going for the Vein. Great blast shot. Get as much damage on this Vein as you can. And Celsior take this to a 1-all.
1-0 indeed, and I don't know, because honestly I thought that Infamous would just push into their early mid-game power spike that they would have with this particular comp, but it didn't quite work out for the side of Infamous, wouldn't you agree? And at the end of the day, they just allowed that of Celsior to just work into their late game, get their items, tank up for Destiny Stars. I mean, just look at the amount of CS that it's crossed the boards, and you know, I think it was just down to the lack of commitment in the mid-game fight and the lack of calculated aggression as well coming up from the side of Infamous. I think one of the major mistakes was in one fight when they tried to push a turret when there were no minions around. Granted, it had that damage then,